Do you need white balance? Do I need to hold
Got
this
it,
up?
thank you.
Okay.
Whenever y'all are ready.
All right. Marc, welcome to Dallas.
Thank you. Thank
And
you so
thank
much.
you for coming, because I know that you're a very busy man, so for you to include us in the schedule makes us very happy.
It, to be honest, makes me very happy. And last night, the screening I had at Angelica was the best audience I had so far. So I'm really happy to be in Dallas.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I attended another screening, but I love this picture. I just
thank you.
love it. There's just everything about it I like. It's very well done, and the casting and the acting is great, and it has its own unique flavor. It's not a by the numbers movie in any sense of the word, and of course, who doesn't love Peter Pan? But that brings to mind, and I thought about this while the movie was on. Everybody knows about Peter Pan. In what way is that an advantage, and in what way is it a disadvantage?
In a hand, it's a disadvantage because people have all these expectations because Peter Pan is a classic. But on the other hand, it is an advantage because it's a truly, truly beautiful, beautiful story, and we all can relate to it, and it has a certain universal truth. And I was thinking, if I be able to tap into how J.M. Barrie got inspired to write the story and tap into that universal truth, I thought maybe it will be many people who will be able to relate to it and get something out of the movie.
It is based on truth, but anything that's based on truth, of course, has a lot of fictional elements to it. So, Marc, sort out for us where the truth is and where the fiction is.
All right. The fiction is like originally he met the family, the children first in the park, and then Sylvia Llewellyn Davis at a dinner. At that time, her husband was still alive. He died a few years later on cancer of the jaw, which actually Barrie financed the doctors for them because he befriended the family. And also there were 5 children instead of 4. But the 5th child, Nico, the last child, wasn't really part of them playing those games and so on, because he was born just when Barrie started writing his first draft of Peter Pan. Also, then when the husband died, he did want to actually marry Sylvia Llewellyn Davis. He bought her an engagement ring, but the marriage never happened because she passed on.
And his own marriage then, while he was being interested in the widow and her family, what was going on with his own marriage?
His own marriage, he got a divorce also many years after he befriended the family, but he his wife actually betrayed him with their gardener from their country estate, from the country cottage they had, which is also in the film. And he found out about that, and once he found out about that, he asked for a divorce. And he wanted to actually get engaged, obviously, with Sylvia Llewellyn Davis much later.
In the film, we get the impression that the wife does become unhappy with his interest in the family and the widow, but at the same time she remains loyal to him and certainly encouraging him. So that is fiction, right?
Yes, that is fiction. And also, they say that they did have a very distant relationship in their marriage and did not have a lot in common.
Yes, it's very obvious because when they go to bed at night, she goes into one bedroom and he goes into the other.
Yeah.
That was a very nice touch. Said, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you do this movie, or were you contracted to do it after Monsters Ball came out?
It's actually happened just right at the moment when Monsters Ball got released. I showed Miramax the movie before its release. They responded to it, and then I met with the producer and Miramax and Harvey Weinstein at the time, and I told them my vision, how I saw the movie, and then they offered me the film.
So were you surprised to be offered this kind of film?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they actually would go for it because Monsters Ball was a very different movie, and it was obviously much darker and much tougher film for an audience. And this one was this whimsical, magical, beautiful story. So the first question they asked me, how dark is it going to be? And I said, look, I'm a very happy person. I'm a very light person. I can do also films on a lighter note. It doesn't have to be dark and sad and so on.
How much of a challenge was it when, in this film, we see that we kind of go inside Barry's mind and his thoughts, and then we see depicted scenes from Peter Pan. How difficult was it to make those kind of seamless transitions?
It was actually very hard because I worked on it quite a bit, and I looked at all the scenes. Like when I read the script, I said there will be a challenge to make it seamless and make it effortless, and I didn't want it to, and it should feel effortless. And I thought about it a lot, and then found sort of a way how I can make those transitions slowly. Like for instance, when he goes up the stairs with his wife, and she goes into her room, as you mentioned before, and he goes into his room, that we just see a glimpse sort of the park behind it, and just these glimpses. Or of when Julie Christie sort of takes the jackets of the kids and behaves like sort of very strict and authoritarian, she suddenly turns around and the little hanger she had turned into a hook. So just to do these subtle changes who inspire them ultimately to bring alive Peter Pan was a challenge, yes.
I was delighted to see Dustin Hoffman in this as playing the producer. But at the same time, when we get into the little flashbacks of Peter Pan, of course, he's Captain Hook.
Yeah.
Did somebody have to twist his arm? No pun intended.
Yeah.
Did someone have to twist his arm to get him to take this role?
No, he actually wanted to do the role really badly, and he actually almost had to twist my arm that I would cast him. Because I thought first I was a little ambivalent because he's such a star and such an icon. I thought he would overshadow everybody else. But it worked out beautifully, and he wanted to work with Johnny Depp, and he wanted to work with me, so I thought it would be a nice combination.
In interviewing directors who have worked with Dustin, I recall so vividly that Sidney Pollack said with Tootsie that Dustin just drove him crazy. And I said, would you work with him again? And he said, not anytime soon. And to my knowledge, they still have not worked together again. How would you feel about working with Dustin Hoffman again?
I would love to work with him again. I fell in love with him. He's a truly wonderful, inspiring person. The thing is with Dustin, you know, like he somehow respected me, and I respected him, and we found a way that we both were very happy, and it was a very joyful experience. It's also, you know, when they made Tootsie, I think it was 1981, so it was 24 years ago, which I think as people get older, they calm down a little bit. So maybe he's like much calmer than he used to be, but he was a pleasure and joyful to work with.
I'm a tremendous fan of Johnny Depp's work, and I like him too as a person. What is it? Because I've tried to analyze it, and I'm not too good at that sort of thing, apparently. What is it about Johnny Depp that makes him such an effective actor?
I think he's such an effective actor because he really only does what he's passionate about. He doesn't go for films that he thinks or people believe that might be commercial. He really just goes for characters he loves, and he doesn't care about how commercial the film is going to be. And he really stuck through that throughout his career. You know, if it was Edward Scissorhands or Ed Wood or Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, all these movies, there are all these interesting characters, and every time he just captures them. So he really always stuck to his passion. I think for any true artist who wants to really do beautiful work, all they have is sticking to their heart and their instincts, because I think once you don't go down that road and you start making choices for commercial reasons or money, monetary reasons, I think ultimately you will fail, or it will be not as satisfactory or empty. and you can't do good work anymore.
And I won't use this on the air, but just something we can share. It makes me sad to see what has happened to Ben Affleck, you know,
Yeah.
by some of the choices he has
Yeah.
made. I hope he gets his career
Yeah,
back on
I
track.
haven't actually seen any of his movies lately. I loved the stuff he did early on. I sort of lost track what kind of movies he has been making.
Good for you.
Good for me.
I'm not using that. This
No,
is
no.
just something I'm sharing
Yeah.
privately with you.
No, you probably don't. But it just come. What has he done lately? I don't even know.
Oh, that some pitiful thing. I can't even think of the name of it.
I know he was in some comic book thing.
Daredevil.
Yes, yeah.
That was one of the
Yes.
last commercials. So
Yeah.
Yes, and he did this thing that Jennifer Lopez had just a very small role in.
Oh,
with-
Garden State.
No,
No, not Garden State. No, that's out now.
Garden State is wonderful.
Yeah, I hear it. No,
that's-
Jersey Girl.
Jersey Girl, that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the rating of this film?
It's PG rated.
Was there any pressure from anybody to kind of sex it up a little bit and make it PG-13?
Not at all. No. No, nobody said anything. We got the PG rating, and everybody. We never discussed the rating. I was surprised, but it's fine with me. I never think about a film when I make the rating. When I make a film, I never think about the rating. Like with Monsters Ball, suddenly I got an NC-17 and I had to work to get an R, and a very tough R. And suddenly I'm here making a movie with just PG, which was like very, very surprising to me. Probably for the MPAA as well, when they suddenly saw a PG-rated movie.
I do hear from directors, though, who say that pressure, sometimes when the studio sees the rough cut, you've got to get this in there and that in there, more language, more violence.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, that they do put pressure on them. So
I'm glad they didn't ask me to do that.
you are European, right?
Yes.
Born in
Germany, raised in Switzerland. Grew up in Switzerland all my life.
So of German parents then?
No, my father is Swiss and my mother was German.
Oh, but
Raised German.
was your father Swiss German?
Yeah, Swiss German.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Are any of Barry's relatives involved with this project, or are any of them still living?
Actually, none of them are living. The only relative who is living is the granddaughter of Kate Winslet's character, Sylvia Lloyd Davis. She was the daughter of the youngest child, and I actually casted her in the movie. She is when they come to the theater after the premiere of Peter Pan, and Johnny Depp, Jay and Barry is looking for Peter, for Freddie, in that club, in this little after party, and he sees him and he asks him, "How did you like the movie?" And Peter says, "How did you like the play?" And he said, "It was magical." And then this woman says, and he says, "Thank you, Peter." And then this woman says, "Oh, is this Peter Pan? This is Peter Pan." And that's actually the woman who is the only living relative of the Llewellyn Davis family. And she is just lovely and superb. And I thought it would be wonderful to cast her and have her say, "This is Peter Pan." I just thought that would be a nice touch.
Yes, and we'll share that with the audience so that they can savor the moment
Yes.
when it comes up. Growing up, did you read Peter Pan?
In Switzerland we don't really have Peter Pan. Peter Pan is not as a cult classic than here. It was much. We had other sort of children's stories, so I sort of got more exposed to it when I moved to the States.
In Switzerland, do you read Heidi?
Yes, exactly. Heidi, how did you know?
Because I read Heidi as a child and loved it.
Yes, I love Heidi. Yeah, that was the story I grew up with. Heidi, Peter and Heidi.
Yes.
Was another Peter.
Yes, and the grandfather.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had a grandfather I adored, and so I very much identified. The only thing I didn't have the Alps.
Yes, no, I grew up in the Alps, in the middle of the Alps, where Heidi.
Where did you grow up?
In Davos.
Oh, in Davos.
Yeah.
Skiing area.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
All right. Let me see if there's something else. Is there anything that you would like to have a chance to say about the film?
No, I just that I'm very happy with the film, how it turned out, and I think it was a magic experience, and I'm just thankful to the actors that they were part of it and were in it, and to the studio to give me that opportunity, you know, and I think it's something really special. So I feel I'm very pleased.
What was your budget?
We're around 20 million.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's all in. That was everything. Like the
Yes.
actors, everybody's salary, everything.
Because your art direction is wonderful.
Yeah.
And the cast that you got.
Yeah,
Just-
no, it was a real miracle to get that cast and that sort of, you know, for that money. They're all like, were very open to, they love the script and you know, and they just wanted to do it.
There is one other thought I have, and then we'll have to start doing our production shots. It's what I call, Marc, a very quiet movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's not a lot of clanging and banging and screaming and carrying on. Was that, well, you tell me why it's a quiet movie and doesn't get hysterical.
It's also the way I direct and the movies I like. I like quiet movies, and you know, Monsters Ball was sort of quiet in itself, and this as well. I like it because I think in silence there is something beautiful. I think everything what is not said has often more power than things that are said. Everything you don't show on camera often has more power than what you show. So I always when I make a movie, I look at things, what don't I want to show, what don't I want to say, instead what do I want to show and what do I want to say. I always try to do the opposite approach, because I feel like it leaves you with more curiosity, and it leaves you with more interest with the character, as you, I think, are more sort of like part of the story.
And does it have anything to do also with the period, the Edwardian period?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, the time itself, of course, dictates the storytelling as well. That the period itself was very sort of more quiet.
See, I applaud you for that, because I think especially American directors are afraid of quiet, and they're afraid of silence
Yeah.
and pauses so many times. And I just found the tenor of the film to be very compelling. I liked it.
Thank you very much.
And thank you again, Marc, for coming.
No, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
This pleasure is all mine. Thank you.
Wonderful. And questions, start to answer, and then I'll wave you off. That's just
Okay.
so the editor has a little
Yeah.
flexibility. You understand all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I don't need to explain that to you. Okay. All right. Were you surprised when you were offered this movie?
Yes, I was, and
Yeah,
Are you-
that's good enough.
okay.
That's good. It's just something to,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
If you want, I can go longer.
Maybe a little,
Okay, okay.
but I'll just wave you
Okay,
off of that.
all right.
That's okay, all right. Were you surprised when you were offered this movie?
Yes, I was surprised, and I was really, actually, of course, happy, but I wasn't sure at first if I wouldn't be an obvious
That's good.
choice.
Okay, that's good. This movie is based on truth, but there is also a lot of fiction in it, I'm sure. Will you sort out for us what is true and what is fictional?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, J.M. Barrie originally met the family in the park, and the children in the park, and then the family at a dinner party.
That's fine. So the part then about his wife is fictional.
Yeah, to a certain degree it is, and to a certain degree it isn't. And then I pretty much forgot what I was talking about
That's
before.
fine. I remember.
Okay. Sorry.
Because Peter Pan is so loved and so well known, that must have advantages, but does it also have disadvantages?
Yes, I mean, the disadvantage is that it's, you know, a lot of people have expectations to see a movie like that because it's, you know, it's a classic and you don't want to disappoint your audience.
That's fine. As a child growing up in Switzerland, did you like, as a child growing up in Switzerland, did you read Peter Pan?
No, actually, I didn't. I read Heidi. We didn't have Peter Pan in Switzerland that much. So, but you're familiar with Heidi, so.
Yes, I had the book. I loved it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was your laughter okay? Is that fine?
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
All right. Did somebody have to twist Dustin Hoffman's? Did someone have to twist Dustin Hoffman's arm to get him to do this role?
Actually not. He really wanted to do it. He wanted to work with Johnny and he wanted to work with me, and he was really passionate about it.
What is it that makes Johnny Depp such an effective actor?
I think he just always made choices from his heart and from his passion. I don't believe he ever made choices purely out of commercial reasons. And
That's good. Okay. Are Barry's relatives still living? And I'm trying to think how I put it. Did any of Barry's relatives have anything to do with this film?
yeah, but there are really nobody's really alive anymore. The only person who really is alive is the granddaughter of Sylvia Llewellyn Davis, who is Kate Winslet's character, who we actually cast in the film, and she was lovely, and she's actually in the scene after the theater when Barry finds Peter and asks him how did he like to play, and he says it was magical, and she's actually the woman who says, "Oh, is this Peter Pan?" So
That's fine. I think that'll get it.